Okay, now I want to turn to Boris Epshteyn. Boris is with the campaign, one of the lawyers and strategist over there, comm specialist also. Ran surrogates for us in the 2016 campaign. Boris, let's go through the battlefield. There's been so much happening today from, Rudy and the team took longer in Arizona today to meet with additional people. They're flying into Michigan. I think they're going to have testimony tomorrow. We started the cold open in the first segment. The testimony in Michigan Day was really amazing. The diversity of people and what they had to say. Wisconsin dropped, an amazing lawsuit after that audit, which caught the mainstream media by surprise. They don't want to talk about it. So walk us through. Where do we stand? It seems like a day of action, that things are really picking up speed now.
Okay, so here's where we are. Thanks for having me. Here's where we are, and it's definitely a big day. There's no two ways. So in Wisconsin, what we talked about yesterday, I said I didn't want to get ahead of the news. A lawsuit was filed using the information gleaned from that recount, which the mainstream media, of course, wants to deride. But the recount was key to getting information on the overwhelming over 200,000 ballots, which were wrongfully processed in Wisconsin for one of myriad reasons. Either the clerks fixed them outside of the process allowed for by Wisconsin law, the Wisconsin Constitution, or somebody was allowed to vote by mail or absentee even though they didn't file an application, or somebody was given an absentee ballot or mail-in ballot, even though they said they were indefinitely confined and they weren't. So there's these three different phases, three different standards that were violated in Wisconsin. At least three. We believe there were more than that, but that are laid out in this lawsuit. So very, very important action in Wisconsin today. Arizona, as you saw yesterday, a marathon hearing where Rudy Giuliani, Jenna Ellis, and the Trump legal team made presentations, witnesses made presentations about widespread election fraud, election irregularities in the state of Arizona. Now on to Michigan. The team is heading there to do the same. And there was a hearing today in Michigan, and there's going to be another one tomorrow. In Georgia, a continued push, legal and legislative push, to ensure that there is a true and honest recount with signature matching. And you've got President Trump heading to Georgia this weekend. We continue to push on Pennsylvania, even though the session ended yesterday. Continue to push on Pennsylvania and work any angle possible, legislative and legal, to try to make sure that every legal vote is counted in the state of Pennsylvania. So that's Pennsylvania, Michigan, the Wisconsin, Arizona, and then you've got Nevada, where, as we know, there's now been a ruling by a judge that there's going to be examination of a machine in Nevada, and there's going to be another hearing on the 3rd as well. So as you look across the states, the Trump legal team, President Trump, continue to make progress, again, toward a very simple, very righteous goal of counting every single legal vote.
I got to tell you, you can tell the opposition and the mainstream media is getting nervous, right? They're doubling and tripling down, where they will not actually engage with and look at any of these violations, any of this illegality. So it's really been pretty stunning. I want to go in this process. You've had places that have been look relatively quiet, and all of a sudden they explode with things. That's because work's going on the entire time. Let's go to Michigan, which I think is particularly interesting. Michigan today, this hearing was really something, and it was just the diversity of the people, the witnesses that the Republicans put forward and the Trump people put forward. More importantly, with some of the detail. Can you give us any background on how this was all prepped, and particularly then? Rudy's going to actually, I think they're going to have a hearing tomorrow, and I think it's late in the afternoon. So what's actually going on in Michigan, and is there still a possibility to turn this thing around? I mean, they've been the one that's spiking the football the most.
Absolutely, there's a possibility. The Michigan legislature still has plenty of time to decide which electors are to be sent to Congress as a result of, again, the legal votes in this election. There's plenty of time. There's 2 weeks about till midnight of December 13th to determine who won the legal vote in the state of Michigan. And how this came about is Republicans in Michigan, including Lee Chatfield, who's calling for the hearing meeting tomorrow, where Rudy Giuliani and Jenna Ellis are going to present. They're doing the right thing. They're saying we want to get the information. We want to know what happened, and the credit has to go to the MAGA crowd, your listeners, your viewers, the people who are plugged in, the people who are reaching out to their elected officials and saying, we want to know, we deserve to know who won the legal vote. We deserve to know whether this election was done fair and square. That information has to come out, and it's incumbent upon Republican elected officials to not just walk away, to not put their head in the sand, but to get to the bottom of the issue.
In Pennsylvania, I think Mike Kelly, Congressman Kelly, and Parnell basically applied to go to the Supreme Court today. I think Alito will make that decision sometime this week. And also had this explosive press conference talking about the trailer that somehow is missing from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, with anywhere between 144,000 and 288,000 ballots. I thought, people yesterday when we left the show, everybody was in the mumble tank. We thought Pennsylvania was finished. What's going on in Pennsylvania? It looks like it's back in play right now.
Well, in terms of what Congressman Mike Kelly and Sean Parnell and others are doing, huge credit goes to them. That is a fascinating lawsuit that talks about the constitutionality of the mail-in balloting process in the state of Pennsylvania, and whether that is appropriate or not, and should be allowed to stand or not. And then they had a victory in a lower court, of course, the Pennsylvania State Supreme Court, which seems to be completely in the tank for the left, overturned, and now they're taking their push to the Supreme Court. So that is something that has to be viewed very seriously, and we're going to be following closely. And in terms of the information, as you said, more needs to come out in terms of that press conference today. And it takes some dissecting, but let's get to the bottom of it. Let's make sure that what is being discussed is investigated and not just swept under the rug. Because if there truly are thousands of ballots, or tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of ballots missing in Pennsylvania, that's obviously a major, major issue and a major violation.
People are very excited about what's happening in Nevada. Now, this ruling from this judge, or this, I guess, injunction came out and caught some people by surprise. I take it there's a cyber team that's going there, and I understand there's some dispute as they're there right now about what it actually says and what they're going to get access to. But if you read it at first blush, it seems like the Trump campaign for the first time actually gets access to one of these, to the entire voting system of every element of it. What is your interpretation of what's happening in Nevada? We have the evidentiary hearing in the case on Thursday, which will still be the first evidentiary hearing we've had in a court on any of these. But today you got the ability to actually go in starting at 4 o'clock Eastern time and actually for the first time get your hands on one of these voting systems.
My understanding is that it's a rather broad ruling that does allow for the plaintiffs to get a wide array of information, and let's hope that nobody on the left stands between a court order and what is supposed to be done. We've seen that happen in Pennsylvania, remember, where there was a court order to allow observers, but Democrat elected officials and I believe a sheriff actually contravened that court order. So my reading of it is the same as yours, that it's broad and it allows for a large-scale gathering of information, and I'm sure that the plaintiffs will be following through on that, with full strength.